Yay, it's us again.
Hey.
Wow. Been another 2 weeks. That don't seem right, does it, guys?
Yeah. Happy early Memorial Day.
That's right. Yep. Absolutely. To any of you who have family members or friends that were lost in the defense of freedom, we say thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It's not Veterans Day tomorrow. It is Memorial Day.
Right.
So again, if you or your family or your circle has lost somebody, again, in defense of this country, we thank you sincerely. That's not a silly little thing to say. That's for real. So,
yep.
Timothy, buddy, it was great. I met up with Timothy the other day, which was a lot of fun. His grandbaby stealing everybody's hearts and
of course
holding everybody's hands and having to be picked up. She's adorable. That was a great time. Jason, what's going on? Ladies and gentlemen, that's nice of him to include you, Corey. Anyway,
that's all right. I found a grill this week. You can't bring me down.
That was too easy. Just handed it to me. It was too easy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you found a grill this week?
A grill, one of my grills.
Oh.
What'd you find? All right, let's go. We're gonna get right into it already. Let's go. What'd you find?
This is my grill piece.
Oh, you did get one. Good for you.
I did get one. I should have done.
Nice. Where'd you come up with that?
Total nostalgia. I got him, and this got total nostalgia.
That's a new page.
Yeah, it's one of the new papers. And I got this because I had $30 of credit, and I wanted been trying to take somebody for the non chase.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I don't know if it's a grail piece for me, but I always wanted one of these.
Yeah, I got a tumbler.
Yeah, I got that from over there. Then
I've seen him tumble in Target parking lot before, so.
Yeah, I took pictures of that thing, and then the cats kept on coming. I got him on sale at Walmart for $24.
Mm-hmm.
Because the box was thoroughly fresh. And this coming in the mail today. I got me and Shane one.
Nice. Still haven't seen mine yet. But...
Well, this supposed to be here Saturday. My pop's girlfriend's alternate supposed to be here Tuesday, and come on a Sunday. And me and my girlfriend went and picked her brother and her mom up from Madison. I always stop at Target and Moulton's Target for a bathroom break. Found him for $15.
15, good. That's a good find.
$15. And he was all in the farm in the store. Yeah, that's what got me. I was kind of shocked. I thought he was just has gotten released. Wasn't he with that Gordon and Batman Year One?
Yeah, less than a month
Life?
old. Yeah, less than a month old.
I thought it was. And that's pretty much all I got going on. Had going on the last 2 weeks. Stuff finds me. I don't find it.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, good. I'm glad you got that ASVAB. So that was a good find.
Not for what the price I paid for it, but I had credit, so I got it anyway.
Well, we're kind of with that line, especially. We're kind of at that point where there's certain figures that are just going to cost you. It's just the way it is.
Right.
Oh yeah.
If you don't have them, it's going to cost you. So either give up on them.
Tumbler. Pop, he found a box of figures I didn't know I had. I left at the other place, and I got what I wanted out, and what I didn't, what I took up there. I was just wanting the tumbler. That was it. And I just see them other ones. He gave me extra credit where I needed, so I didn't leave nothing on the vine.
No, that's good. Very good, actually. Very, very good. Nice. What do you guys got going on?
Not a whole lot for me.
No.
Been kind of dry around my area.
Yeah, same here.
I got a couple of things from Amazon. Of course, I got my Rock and Roll Friday, I believe it was.
Nice.
And they had this 2-pack on sale, so I went ahead and picked it up. This is a pretty good pack. First time I've done Destiny in the Marvel Legends line, so and that's sort of like the first appearance Rogue. And but what I'm really excited about is I actually got one of my true Grail pieces.
No way, you
a week ago. And
No way.
I've been saving it for the show. It's funny because so we finally got our yearly bonus at work, which turned out to be really, really probably one of the better ones we've gotten. I got it Wednesday. Wednesday was a week ago. Well, that same day, in one of the other Joe groups I'm in, a guy put a post up, and I saw it, and it had only been up for 13 minutes. Usually when I see posts for anybody selling anything, it's like a day later.
Right.
It's done gone.
Yeah, a day late, you mean.
yeah, a day late. And I looked, and I saw it said 13 minutes, and I just, commented real quick. I said, where are you located at? And he replied back, Birmingham, Alabama.
No way.
And so I said, I'll take it. I'm about an hour and a half away. I'll drive to you to get it this weekend. So I met him at the Target parking lot in Trustful there. Friday was a week ago. Robert Lenore, he joined the group. I told him about the group, and he joined that next morning or late that night one. And he's done a lot of like Masters Universe and Joe stuff. And he was selling this. And like I said, I saw the post on the day that our bonus hit the bank. And I mean, it's just like everything all fell in place. But it's actually a graded piece, still sealed in the box, which I've been looking for a long time.
Oh, good for you, buddy.
And like I said, this was the first Joe thing I ever had when I was a kid.
That is cool.
And I finally found one still sealed in the box, graded at a
70.
7.0.
That's
so
pretty awesome.
Not a bad grade. I mean, it's in good shape. You see, it's still got the tape on it.
Wow.
Still sealed.
That's awesome.
And he gave me a great deal on it. He sold it well below what?
$10.
What
10,
it's going,
$15.
a little bit more than that, but it was a lot less. And especially these earlier vehicles like the Dragonfly, the Vamp, and all those, to find them still sealed is really hard to do.
Oh yeah,
and, I mean, a lot of the newer stuff, the stuff from the 90s, it's pretty easy to find that stuff sealed. But to find
straight arm,
early 80s,
John?
What's that?
Is it the straight arm stiller?
No, this is a 1983 one. It's got the
83
swivel on it.
version?
Yeah.
still. I mean, that's
And
awesome. Congratulations.
That's great.
They done a little better. The boxes on the first couple of years was real flimsy. So I mean,
Mhm.
to grade a 7.0 is actually good for I mean, you
Mhm.
can see some creases and stuff in it, like right there and all, but I doubt you'll find a 9 or better. I mean, if you do, it had to be somebody had to actually put it up and take real good care of it. But just sitting on the shelf and kids handling them and all,
Mhm.
the boxes were, like I said, a little thinner and all back then and a little more flimsy than later. But
So what do you owe Nancy? I'm just curious.
I'm gonna have a really great birthday in a couple of weeks.
There you go.
that she's gonna have a really great birthday in a couple of weeks. But yeah, this is something I'd been looking for a long time. Here, I don't know, about 10 years ago, I finally found just a box to go with mine. I mean, it was hard to find the boxes there for a while,
Mm,
and but to find one still sealed up is just extremely rare.
that's awesome.
And
Congratulations. That's actually very cool.
he had a lot. I mean, he told me he just got through selling. He had a lot of stuff that was still sealed. He had a Night Raven still sealed. It was graded. He had a hydrofoil moray still sealed up.
Wow.
And yeah, he'd just gotten, and he actually had 2 of these, and he'd already gotten rid of one, but he had this one left. And I just, like I said, I just happened to get on there at the right time, I guess, because I never see post until after, like I said, a day later, and or at least several hours. And of course, they're done gone. If it's anything,
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
it gets gone just like that.
That's
I thought
awesome.
even 13 minutes, I probably wouldn't have had a shot, but I noticed they wasn't hardly no comments, so I took a shot at
Do you
it.
still have your original open?
I do. I still have my original tank. Steelers, he's been long gone. My original Steeler that come with it, but I do still have my original tank.
You got great display options. You put that behind it, and the open one in front of it.
Oh yeah, well, this,
Awesome.
yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I got a box. I finally found a box, but I mean, this is I mean, to find one still sealed is just really hard to do. And I mean, I actually looked on eBay, and the ones that I saw on eBay, they were, they had been opened. They hadn't been, I just slid it out to take a picture, showed it still in the inserts and all that. I saw several of those on there, but I didn't even find one on eBay that was still sealed. And I've looked in the past and I've never seen one on eBay, honestly, that was still sealed in the box. And so it don't surprise me he got it graded, because any of these guys that are real heavy into it like that, if they find them still sealed, they'll get them graded no matter what. And it's it for nothing else, more for protection, just to have it in the
acrylic, yeah.
the acrylic and all that. Yeah.
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 If you're gonna put it in acrylic, why not go ahead and get it graded?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. But so this is the second graded toy that I own.
Nice.
I don't even know if I don't even know. I guess my other ones. I got a graded Star Trek figure I got a long time ago. I don't know if I ever showed it on here or not. But it was a B'Elanna Torres from the Playmates Star Trek Voyager line. I actually got a hold of they numbered them on the bottom of the feet, and I was actually got the very first one that come off the line, number 00001.
Oh, no kidding.
And I took it to the Joe Con in 2007. They had the AFA was there accepting toys at the show to be graded, and I took it with me and dropped it off with them to get it graded. And I think it graded at 85 total. I've got it put up, but that's the only action figure I ever got graded. And like I said, just because it was, you can actually see one of the legs on it. I'll get it and show it next time on the show. But one of her legs has got like a residue from the mold where it was the first one that come out. And
that release agent.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
You used to see that kind of often, that release agent. They got really sloppy with it there for a while.
Yeah.
But congratulations. That's awesome. Actually.
So I have two graded two graded toys now in my collection. But it's been hard not to say that. I've been wanting to try to keep it for the show to show it on the show first before I posted it on the page. And it's been hard to keep it a secret for the last month, for the last week and a half, or a little over a week.
That's awesome, though. That is great. That's great. I am never. I personally, I will never have graded stuff. I mean, I can think of a few things that I would even bother to grade, and I would never be able to afford them. So,
Yeah.
well, I say never. I've come up with some cool stuff over the years, but I mean, as it is
Never
right
say
now,
never.
no.
Yeah. You get you
All right.
one
Never
of
say
those,
never.
I have one graded piece, and it's a baseball card.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's the only thing I'll probably ever have graded is cards.
Yeah.
I don't even have a graded card of any kind. I think right now Marshall's got a couple of Pokemon cards that's graded, but I don't even think I got a graded card of any kind.
Yeah,
I got a few graded comic books. I still got a few graded comic books, but
Mhm.
I even sold most of those that I have.
I got one graded comic book, and I don't know where it's at. It's the goal for either 25 or 50 anniversary of Amazing Spider-Man or Spectacular Spider-Man. One where he's fighting Venom on the front cover.
Mm.
So I don't even know where it's even at.
Nice. Mason got a retro Viper today.
Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
Replay got a huge collection of several huge collections in.
Yeah.
Really?
They've been posting about it all week.
Silas had his Pinewood Derby in the mall last weekend, and it was just
Cool.
up the way from their new spot there in Replay's new spot in the Galleria. So we went in there a couple times. I bought two Red Ninjas, $20 a piece. That was a good deal.
How did he do at the Derby?
Okay. I mean, yeah, okay. It's just his second time doing it. So
What up, Silas?
Oh,
Hey, Silas.
yeah, he did good, right, buddy? Right. He actually made his car.
Good
You know how
job.
that goes.
Didn't have Daddy build it for you.
Exactly. So
That's when it really counts.
yeah, that's right. He did great. So that's cool. I actually had my Retro Vipers on order and I canceled it because I can't. I'm kind of at the point where I can't just keep doing repaints of Army builders.
Yeah.
I just can't. I have a ton of Vipers. I don't need the retros. So.
the only reason I'm gonna go with it because it's kind of different than the regular Viper. So
I just like the card, man.
Yeah, it is cool.
It's
It
just
is
a
cool.
nostalgic feeling for me.
I'll be honest. I've been really the last week or two. I've been giving a lot of thought about just quitting on new stuff and just sticking with vintage because I'll still do the Joes, but a lot of the other stuff like the Marvel Legends and He-Man and all that, I've been thinking about just stick with what I got. If I see something I really like, but I don't know. The vintage. I know what I'm looking for. I know what I need to I know what kind of space I'm gonna have to have it, and you're still getting stuff. Because I'm telling you, I'm still working on trying to get just my Marvel Legends organized. I mean, it's just, and it becomes so overwhelming. You get to the point where you just feel drained, and you're like, why did why even bother with this anymore? I mean, I'm just getting to that point to where, yeah, it looks good once I finally get it done, it'll look good. But then what? I'm like, I don't know. I keep looking at that space and thinking, man, I could put more vintage, get more vintage Joes and other vintage stuff, and put, display and things. And I don't know.
I got to tell you,
I don't think.
Go ahead, Corey.
I don't think it's only you. I'm that way about the Marvel Legends. Unless they come out with something I don't have, I really want. Now that the She-Devil thing from Savage Land, I'll probably get her, but I'm not really big on them either now.
Yeah.
It just ain't just you.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think some of the toy photography guys have got the right idea. They have it all, and they take it out, and they do their thing with the pictures or tell their story or whatever, and then they just put them away. You know what I'm saying? It's just like trying to, especially with a collection your size, John, trying to display all of that is just would have to be that in and itself is stressful. I mean,
if I could give one piece of advice to a new collector that's going to start collecting, say something like Marvel Legends, for example, go ahead and make sure you got the place where you're going to display them, and display them as you buy them. Don't put them up for 3 or 4 years in totes, and then when you get time,
Yeah.
then say, okay, now because it's overwhelming. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, you wouldn't think it would be, but I mean, I spend hours upon hours and just get 2 or 3 shelves, and it's like, I don't know. And then trying to find all of them because I got them all over the place.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, let's be honest. John don't have a collection. He has a museum.
He does. Yeah, I mean,
He
seriously.
does.
Yeah, he's got a pretty half decent museum, really. I mean, if he wasn't such a Marvel guy and had more DC stuff, it would be actually awesome. But
Yeah.
I got more DC than that's what I realized. I'm really literally. I really thought I'd sold most of my loose DC Universe figures at Mattel did, and I just keep finding them. And I'm like I had that many left. I thought I got rid of most of them, but I've still got quite a few of them. And so, but
no doubt.
it gets overwhelming quick. I mean, it really does.
It does. It does.
Yeah, it does.
The cool thing about with the Joes, especially with the OG stuff, I don't worry about army building anymore. Does that make sense?
No.
You just want one of each, because you're really just not doing that anymore.
Yeah, I've never been a big army builder guy anyway myself, so I only have one of everything.
Yeah.
I started when the classified come out. I started buying one of each, one to keep in the box, one to take out. But then I got to where I just one.
I got to tell you, collecting Star Wars was easier because it was like stormtroopers. If you were even remotely completist, you ended up army building anyways because of the number of figures that because there was so many different stormtroopers, so many different clone troopers, so many, you were just kind of by the nature of the line, you were army building. You didn't have to go buy 4 stormtroopers. You were going to end up with 10 of them anyways.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, every other line I think is different than that, though. That doesn't naturally occur because, let's face it, the villains are much more numerous.
Right.
Does that make sense? I mean, Star Wars was pretty basic stuff. I mean, you had a handful of generals, you had Vader, and you had stormtroopers, right?
Yep.
Pilots, but that was Death Star gunner. There wasn't a whole lot of variation there.
Yeah.
So that, in a way, that was easier. But with Joe, especially, man, the classified's killing me because it's just like, I was buying squads.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh man. And then that order popped up the other day with the retro Vipers, and I was just looking at it going, how many more Vipers do I need? I mean, they're red. I don't need to.
Yeah.
I just canceled those and kept Mindbender and rock and roll and I don't know. I
Speaking of Star Wars, on this day, May 25th, 1977, Star Wars was released in theaters.
Pretty awesome.
Happy Star Wars Day.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome day.
It
It was an awesome day. I remember it.
was. It led to a whole lot of stuff, man.
I was watching on a post on Facebook today where this guy was at a convention asking people if there was one Star Wars movie that they never wouldn't that was gone to do away with, that they didn't care about, that they wouldn't miss. Which one would it be? Of course, you had most everybody was naming off either usually most of them probably listed off Last Jedi, and then some more off Force Awakens and I can't even Rise of Skywalker. One girl, of course, she is a young girl. She is probably in her early 20s at the best. She said Empire Strikes Back, and I was like, oh, that's sacrilege.
I'm not even a big Star Wars fan.
She's a troll. She did that on purpose. She had to be a troll.
It's the greatest Star Wars movie ever.
Yeah.
I'm not even a big Star Wars guy, and I would have slapped her over that one.
Yeah, no, that's.
I hope nobody heard her. I was like, I hope nobody heard her say that. She won't get out of there alive.
We had to wait a couple of weeks. We went to the drive-in theater, and my mother, back then it was just the 3 of us, the next brother up and my mother, and she had a Datsun 210 hatchback. You remember them little suckers?
Mm-hmm.
And Chris and I, the next brother up, we were always good sized kids. And I remember she came home. She never said a word to us. She came home and she packed up a sleeping bag and a couple of pillows, and she said, "Come on, you two." And like, "What? I'm gonna take you to the." We went up to the drive-in theater, pulled in. It was Star Wars, man. And she got out of the car and she opened a hatchback. She laid out her. She worked all the time. She was a surgical nurse. So back then, surgeries, she might be in the operating room for 30 hours. Believe it or not, it was crazy. But she laid out the pillows and the sleeping bag. She folded down the back seat, told us to get in the front seat, and she went to sleep. She just took the opportunity to get some sleep, and we watched that movie on driving. It was awesome. It was the greatest stuff ever.
Well, I was 2 years old, and I actually never see Star Wars until I was 10 years old. So
I
had to wait till 1983 because I was only born in '79. So.
I was 4 when it came out. The first Star Wars movie I saw was Return of the Jedi, and that was only because we finally got a theater in Center, probably in '82. It didn't last long. It was there maybe 3 years. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was the last movie showed at it because it stayed on the sign out front for 9 months, I think, after they closed the theater before they finally took the sign down. But I saw Return of the Jedi because I kept remembering, oh, you got to, it's supposed to be. I had no idea what was even going on when I went and saw it, but I thought, man, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I think it was like a year later, they aired Star Wars: A New Hope on network television, one of the ABC or CBS, one of them. And then I saw it, and then it was, I don't know, probably another year later when I finally saw Empire. No, I got the VHS tapes through Columbia House. And
you still owe them $2.99.
That was 3 of the movies out of the 6. Well, I got for a penny. 3 of them was, and I wished I still had those VHS because those were the original releases without the special features, which are worth a lot of money now. But I remember watching Empire Strikes Back, and I thought, man, this is the best one out of all of them.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember we just got cable TV, and I remember turning the TV on, and it was coming on A New Hope. I remember just laying in the floor.
Yeah.
Just staring at it and watching it. And it was probably another 3 or 4 years before I even saw Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm. Oh, those were the days. It was so long, and you didn't have the media back then. And let's face it, we really didn't know anything about sequels. You know what I mean? I mean, when Star Wars ended, you were kind of like, well, that was cool, but you didn't really think, oh, well, what's going to happen next? That didn't happen. You know what I mean? It just, and then 2 years later, and when you're 8 or 9 years old, I mean, 2 years was a long time. I mean, and then, here comes Empire, and then we knew all about sequels. By the end of that, we that was a real true cliffhanger. We knew that it was gonna. But yeah, I mean, it was all of you guys missed out on the early bird.
Yeah.
We didn't get the toys. We got the cardboard thing. Well, I didn't. I know a couple of kids that did. And then you had to wait, what was it, almost 8 months before you actually got the first figures. Those are awesome times. It was just awesome.
Yeah, but you think about it back then though. The toys was better because there was more movie after because they waited that long.
All right, you know what, Timothy, you and I we're probably pretty close to the same age. I'm sorry. That Christmas special was the second greatest thing that happened that year. I'm sorry, but it was horrible. It's god awful terrible looking back on it now. But when that sucker was on TV, that was the greatest thing that had ever been on television, ever. Right? I mean, you got to admit that's true. I mean,
first appearance of Boba Fett, that's what puts it up there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was just awesome. It was horrible, but it was awesome all at the same time.
And I don't remember. I remember I saw it because I didn't see because it aired in '78. It aired the year after Star Wars, right? Or was it?
Yes,
70?
It was that Christmas.
Yeah.
It was that Christmas. That's 77, I think.
Because didn't it show Chewbacca and his family or something?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's what it was.
So I somehow or another I saw it after Return of the Jedi apparently, So I saw it after 83. I don't know where or when I saw it because my understanding they never aired it again. So
No, it aired once, and that was it.
I remember seeing
tried
it, but
to bury
it was online. I saw it.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
remember how I saw it,
You
but
I
can,
ain't
you
never
can
seen
watch
it.
it now.
I didn't even know it existed until maybe 10 years ago, when the
Oh,
internet
oh.
started going crazy.
Yeah.
10, 15, 20 years ago, whatever,
Yeah, but it was awesome to watch it.
It was awesome, but it was sad at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, come on.
Parker's
Really.
granddad, yeah.
Stinky. What was his name? Stinky.
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's basically the post. Somebody posted they had a picture of Ula, the Jabba's dancer,
Yeah.
the one who
Oh,
fell in
yeah.
the Rancor pit.
Twilight Girl.
And
Yeah.
they was talking about that when she falls in the pit, one of her boobs pops out.
Yeah.
Said the only nudity in Star Wars, and I replied back. I said, I don't think so. I said, Chewbacca's bandolier don't count as clothing. He was pretty much naked.
Yeah, that ammo pouch is off to the side. Yeah.
Exactly.
He's just Wookiee naked. That's it.
If you think about it, every Star Wars movie should be X-rated. If you think about it.
Jabba the Hutt's sitting around with no clothes on. I mean, it's true.
Yeah, but let's face it, he's got so many roles.
Well, yeah.
You'll see
You know
that.
what? I don't know. That space worm on the asteroid in Empire, he had not a stitch of nothing on him. He had a bad case of the Minox too, which is really disgusting.
He definitely did that.
You know what? Now looking back at it, when Leia was caught by him, she was the most overdressed person in that scene.
Yeah, that's true.
He was.
Yep, that is the truth. Yep.
He definitely was.
Great times, though. Man, things are so. And that's not just, I hate to say it, that's not just nostalgia. It's actually the truth. It was great times.
Mhm.
It really was.
It was.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny because you watch some of these older shows and stuff, and you realize some of the things was kind of risky at the time. When they would do certain things. Like I was watching earlier today, I was watching the old Batman TV series, one with the Joker on it, where the Joker disguised himself as this opera singer.
Oh,
And
yes.
there was a guy, showed a bar, and a guy sitting next to a girl, and the guy, you could tell, was drunk. And you thought, man, that seemed kind of, to put that on TV in the 1960s, a guy drunk, it just seemed kind of, you wouldn't think you'd see something like that on an old 60s TV show. And he's sitting there kind of slurring his words. And then they jerked the mask off, and it was a Joker, and he said, well, that's my mother-in-law.
But you also got to understand, back then, the TV execs was putting that on there. They was sitting around smoking and drinking scotch anyway. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
but
so
you guys
created that show. Somebody had to be smoking something.
like Rocky and Bullwinkle. I mean,
Mhm.
they had congressional hearings about Rocky and Bullwinkle because they said it was subversive and it was loaded with stuff, but I mean, it was actually hilarious. And compared to what goes on now, it was pretty harmless, but I guess that's how it works. But, Batman 66 was definitely pushing some lines there. And
Oh, yeah.
they and it's okay. It's, they got
All I
away
know
with
is
I think I got-
sometimes you just can't get rid of a bomb.
only thing I can say about Batman 66 is 3 letters: LSD.
Oh, that was.
I need
there
to
was
get
enough
one of
that
those.
circulation.
Yeah, I have an excellent copy.
I need to get me one of them.
I agree. I
Just because.
watched it again. I watched it again a few months ago on YouTube, and I have to tell, like I said, when we were little, man, it was the greatest thing that ever happened. Because those were your only Star Wars options, right? It was no longer in the theaters. It wasn't on TV. There was no DVDs. There was no VHS. Anything Star Wars that popped up was just fantastic. And now looking
No
back
movie
on it,
channels
hindsight
either.
being 2020, cool. It was cool. But those were the days of Battle of the Network Stars and everything else, right? Where all of the celebrities, geez, look at the huge celebrities that used to go on Love Boat every week.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was like, and Batman 66 was the same way. There was a huge number of movie stars that made, appearances and stuff on that show because it was a cool thing to do. It wasn't, I'm too good for that or I'm too big for that like they are now,
That was
cool.
the original way of networking back then because they didn't have the internet and the social media they do now.
Well, that's right. I mean, it was, let's face it, it was all self-promotion, but it was they still had a level of humility that celebrities don't have now. I mean,
Right.
there's a reason they don't do Battle of the Network Stars because they're all too good for that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I mean, it was awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, they'd be too afraid of breaking a nail or something now.
Well, and that's the thing. You want the honest truth. Most of them aren't, they don't have any other talent than make believe.
Yeah.
Maybe you looked at Tuggo. I remember there were two episodes I remember really clearly is one of them was the swimming competition that Linda Carter was in. And that I remember that clearly for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I bet you do.
And then
I
they
need
had
to
a
look
tug
that
of
episode
war.
up.
They had a tug of war, and it was like Lou Ferrigno against the entire other network. That stuff just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
They're so busy playing tough guys that they wouldn't want anybody to discover that they're actually not.
People can say what they want to about Tom Cruise, but God bless him, he's nearly 60. I think he is 60 years old. He does the majority of his own stunts.
Yeah, but they said that this one was difficult, and this is the last movie because I guess it really cost a lot this time for him to do his own stunts. Since accommodations had to be made, so and that's cool. I was 63 years old. I mean, more power to him, But that's it. That's it. That run is over.
Yeah.
So
I just found the holiday special on VHS for $30.
VHS. I wonder if it still plays. So much of that tape is brittle now.
That's crazy.
I saw it at a con one time. A guy had a bunch of DVDs at a con that had shows. Of course, they can't sell them on eBay because they're not legal. They're not official, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
Or whatever, because they had like the Fantastic Four movie from the 90s. They had it.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the which I wanted to get it the Adriana Palicki Wonder Woman pilot.
Yep.
Years ago.
Yep. There was a Justice League movie in that mix too that was really bad.
I still hadn't seen that Wonder Woman pilot. I actually heard it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But of course it got canceled. It never made it to the, never made it on TV. That was back in about 2016 or something like that.
Something like that,
yeah. But
yep. Wow.
Yeah. TV, like Timothy said, TV back then was just great.
It was. I probably said, Amy and I have been watching Cheers for the last couple of months. A lot of Cheers and a lot of Frasier on Pluto.
Yeah.
I mean, and then of course George went past this last Tuesday, and it's just like I tried watching it again today, and I don't even want to watch it anymore. His passing is really, I don't know why, but his passing was really sad.
It bothers you, don't it?
It does. I mean, we've lost a lot of celebrities recently, but every once in a while, and it's for me anyways, it's always oddly personal, and I don't understand why, but certain celebrities passing really kind of hit you harder than others. I don't know why. His bothers me.
Does that keep going on?
His bothers me.
That's what my neighbor, me and him was talking today, and I told him, I said, it's gotten, last several months, it's gotten to where I'm sitting here, because I'm watching a lot of older stuff, shows that I grew up on in the 80s. And I said, it's got to where I'm sitting here watching these shows and these movies, and when I start watching them, first thing I do is start looking to see how many of them's passed away. Yeah. And it's unreal.
Yeah, I know.
I've been watching the Police Academy movies, one of my all-time favorite comedy series.
Yeah, a lot of them are gone.
And half of the cast just passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it makes me feel older because I'm thinking, man, I mean, it's kind of sad in a way. I watched the to me, it's what I call the Star Trek trilogy. 2, 3, and 4. The Wrath of Khan Through the Voyage Home, which was like one storyline. And, I'm sitting here thinking, as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, well, Leonard Nimoy's not here. Scotty's not here. Uhura's not here. they're gone, and it's like they'll never be another new movie with them because they're gone.
See, I didn't see
Right.
that Peter David passed away today.
I didn't either.
I didn't see that.
And you take my generation, the Batman animated series. I think Mark Hamill's the only one's left.
Yeah.
They're all gone.
And that was 90s too. That wasn't even,
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you.
And I
when
think the hardest thing about Cheers with Norm going and passing, that's only 3 out of the whole cast. That's it.
Yep.
Coach
It's
and
just, I don't know.
Percy Alley.
Our generation is the first full length media generation. Does that make any sense? The generation
Yeah.
before us just came into it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
We've always had it. And let's face it, in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, geez, so much of everything revolved around music and TV and movies. And, it was a giant chunk of our lives where we're actually the first generation that happened with. So when you start looking around and realizing that all of these people are gone, but you don't, I kind of catch myself doing the math because I say, geez, I was 15, 16 years old watching Cheers. Well, everybody else
Yeah.
were, 15, 16, 20 years older than me. So now I started sitting here doing the math and it's just like, how the heck is Norm 76 years old? And it's just, oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's almost like I think our perception of things gets very skewed, especially now that the quality of we used to watch old black and white movies, right? And look, I just referred to them as old black and white movies.
Yeah.
So, right, you watch Boris Karloff or Lugosi or somebody, and you go, Hope or somebody. They died. Yeah, of course they died. That's an old movie, right?
Yep.
You can't. I watch the reruns of Cheers from like 1982 and stuff. They're all remastered to the point where you can't hardly tell the difference between that and something that was filmed last week. And then you see like Ted Danson on TV or something now, and you're kind of like, it's like a weird time warp. It's like, what the heck happened? It's
and the quality of their movies, like you got these horror movies today, that don't bother me. But you throw in the original Dracula, I'll freak out.
it's just, I think the new stuff has been it's just schlocky. How many cheap shocks can we get out of you, and how much fake blood can we sling around? And I mean, how many supernatural axe murderers do we actually need?
That's like, I remember watching the first Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah.
When I was a kid. Oh my God. I was scared to death, man. And now I watch it and I laugh at it. I'm like,
well, yeah, I know.
That's funny.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
When you was younger, you're scared to death of it. I mean, it was great though.
Well, it was new back then. Now it's just been done to death. So
I'm not talking about as a kid. I'm talking about Boris Karloff scares me right now. I mean, they could act scary back then.
Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it is cool.
And that's
cool.
We've been watching because Marshall, I got a box set of all 30 of the Universal Monster movies in a box set. We started watching them here, I don't know, about a month ago. We watched probably about 8 of them now. And you're sitting there. I'm sitting there watching. And I'm like, every one of them. I'm thinking, well, all these people are dead.
Yeah, but the truth is, John, when you were Marshall's age watching those, all those people were dead then too.
Yeah, a lot of them were. But it's weird. Like I think even the little girl in Frankenstein, when he threw in the water, I think she died here just a few years ago.
Yeah.
And but then you think, I'm sitting here thinking, I wonder if these people, when they were filming this, if they had any idea that almost 100 years later, because it's 2020, people would still be watching these movies.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of a legacy for them, I guess, in a way. But
I think a lot of them probably didn't really believe that there was this movie thing had any real longevity. I figured they probably just figured it's going to go away someday and something else will take its place.
Right.
Here we are. So I mean,
now don't get me wrong. Boris Karloff, he was the guy that played Dracula, right?
No, Bela Lugosi.
No. Bela Lugosi.
Bela Lugosi. That's what I'm talking about. In the next 1,000 years, somebody digs up Bela Lugosi, is going to freak out because he was buried in his Dracula costume.
Let's hope nobody digs him up.
Good.
I mean, that guy would freak me out, man.
Yeah, you're talking about watching those shows. Me TV is my favorite channel to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm constantly watching Me TV because it's got all the good stuff on there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Yeah, it's true. I remember that. Yeah.
But I get what Dave's talking about. Like I remember one of the ones that kind of hit me hard was Alan Thicke from Growing Pains, because I grew up.
Oh
with
yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And I remember it's almost like he's your TV dad. It's like, and you're right. I mean, there's some of them hit me hard, some of them didn't. Jim Varney, he kind of hit me hard because Ernest. I've watched all the Ernest stuff, all the movies, all the commercials, all that, and just you're right. I mean, some of them it's you grew up watching these people, and it's like, again, it's like you're sitting there thinking, man, they'll never make another movie or never be in another show or anything.
For me, and it's not like the big action hero or when Schwarzenegger or Stallone or even Chuck Norris, when they pass, you kind of go, okay, they passed. There's certain everyman characters, the ones that were just like they were just staples in your life, like Alan Thicke or Norm, or I mean, there's a ton of them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton, and we've lost a ton of them.
Yeah. John Candy, that was another one that hit me kind of.
Oh
hard.
yeah, John Candy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just the average everyday people that made such a huge impact in our, honestly, in our lives. I mean, it's just like, but. Like I said, the flashbang stuff, the big movie stars and stuff, they come and go, whatever, you know what I mean? But it's like that, the guys that were there every week, the same time every week, those are the ones that you get. I have a hard time with that,
Another one for me was Bob Saget.
And that is still so
Fuller
bizarre.
House. Yeah. I mean, that was crazy.
There's still people asking a lot of questions about that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, only Tim.
Bill Cosby, not me. Because I didn't drunk nothing around him.
Yeah, but come on, man. Let's get real. Fat Albert.
Yeah.
Fat Albert.
Yeah, for real.
Long before the Cosby Show, there was Fat Albert.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice
I'll never forget that, man.
There was what was it? Blabbermouth? What was it?
Yeah.
Mushmouth.
Mushmouth. Yeah. It was awesome stuff. I mean,
yeah.
Who knew, right? I mean,
and it's funny, because I saw somebody post this on Facebook here just the other day, and I guess that's what kind of got me to watching the Star Trek movies this weekend. And at the end of Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, when they walk out to face the council, and Grace Lee Whitney, who played Janice Rand in the first season of the original series, and Michelle Barrett, they were in the stands behind them, and that when they walked out, and then you could see them in the background. That's the only time all 9 of them were on screen at the same time, because Chekhov didn't come in until season 2,
right?
And Rand Grace Lee Whitney had already left, and so they've never appeared together. That's the only time out of all the movies and all the series that all 9 regular, what I count regular cast members, appeared together in one frame at one time. And I thought, that was kind of cool. I paused it while I was watching. Sure enough, I got it just right, and you could see all 9 of them. But you think that'll never happen again, because over half of them are gone now,
right?
And
yeah, way over half of them.
Yeah.
And what gets me? What about the people that are still here that you wouldn't think? So, a friend of mine bought the entire run of DVDs to give me of The Fall Guy. I love that show.
Oh yeah.
Lee Major's got to be pushing 90.
Yeah. He's in his mid-80s.
He's up there.
Yeah.
But I was thinking the only one I can even think of now, because even like Jerry Lewis, he passed away. Betty White's passed away. Kirk Douglas finally passed away. Gosh, he was like 102.
Yeah, he was.
Dick Van Dyke is the only one I can think of that's still alive. That's from old Hollywood, from the 40s.
Yeah, he's 99, ain't he?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Julie Andrews is still alive, right?
Yeah, I guess she's still alive.
Yeah,
she done some black and white stuff and all too.
Yeah, she was Mary Poppins with Dick Van Dyke. You know, it was weird. What the heck was her name? The redhead that was did the John Wayne did the movies with John Wayne. She did a lot of. What the heck was her name?
Maria O'Hare.
Maureen O'Hare. She was alive just until a couple of years ago. She was
Mhm.
like 198 or something. I mean, it's ridiculous. But she was living some quiet little life somewhere in Sausalito. You know, I mean, she left Hollywood in the 60s.
Yep.
You know, just living a quiet life somewhere. You know, I mean,
Julie Andrews is still alive.
yeah,
She is
Yeah,
89 years old.
89. Yeah, so I mean, she's still. Yeah.
I literally would every few years have to look up Kirk Douglas to see if he was still alive or not. And I think he finally passed away a few years ago. I think.
And
I don't
everybody
know.
was mad about it. Everybody was mad at the fact that that guy was still alive because I guess in real life he was one of the biggest you-know-whats that ever walked the face of the earth. But it's just strange. I mean, I guess every generation has had their own version of this, I suppose. But it's just, this has been, for our generation especially, this has been a rough 5 years.
It has been.
As far as role models or staples, I want to call them staples, right? Because these people were well, at least their characters were staples in our lives. And look, speaking of Star Wars, look at how the Star Wars cast has been wiped out in the last 5 years.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean,
Well, and when they get in their 80s and 90s, 10 to 20 years max, unless they're just really,
Yeah, and I mean it does happen, but it's pretty rare. I mean,
Well, I hate to say this, and I'm not bringing up the fact of what happened to him. The whole Gene Hackman deal. I thought he was already dead.
he retired years ago. He just quietly didn't want anything to do with Hollywood anymore. So,
well, Jack Nicholson's another one because he's still alive, but he retired because he's getting to where he couldn't remember his lines.
Yeah, he's got Alzheimer's. I guess from what they say, it's bad. He's very bad.
Same way with Bruce Willis.
Yeah, his isn't Alzheimer's though. His is some kind of weird. He's perfectly. I read a thing about this.
A genetic disease.
He's completely with it in his head, but the portion of his brain that processes language is broken. So he can't speak, he can't read, he barely understands how people communicate with him. So he doesn't. They say he touches people a lot or he smiles, but he doesn't speak anymore. And you speak to him, and he can't understand what you say. You might as well speak in a different language. That part of his brain is gone. But other than that, he's perfectly healthy.
Right?
What's that?
He's in his early 70s, right?
No, he's in his late 60s. I think Bruce Willis is only 67, 68 years old.
Yeah,
I thought he was rather around the same age as Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson's only 65, 66 years old, right?
I don't know.
Bruce Willis is 70 years old.
He's 70, so he hit 70. And I think Mel Gibson is younger than that.
Hey Siri, how old is Mel Gibson? He's 69.
69.
Mel Gibson 69. Yep.
So
I thought that was right around the same age.
yeah. So there you go. Nice. What else we want to do?
Now we're all good and depressed. What are we going to do?
Well, I'm not. It's what it is, right? I mean, it's what it is.
I just gotta say what they did for Norm at the original Cheers bar was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
They
I
got
seen that.
a permanent spot for him.
Yep.
Now that no one can sit in.
And well, you remember, of course, Coach. He passed away during the show. That's why he.
Yeah.
And you remember the last episode of Cheers? They showed because he had the picture of Geronimo in his dressing room, and they put it on the set after he passed away. And I thought the last thing on the last episode when Sam Cloak turned out the lights of the bar, he went over and straightened the picture up.
Straighten the picture. Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty a cool homage to
Very
Coach.
cool. Yeah, very cool.
Like I said, there's only, as far as I know, there's only been 3 died from that show. It was him, George Wentz, and Christy Alley.
Yep.
Who?
That's enough.
Who'd you say?
Christy Alley?
You mean Kirstie Alley?
Kirstie Alley.
Kirsty Alley, whatever.
Yeah, one of the most unique looking people that has ever lived.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And see, I just saw her in Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan, because she was Lieutenant Savick.
Yep.
Yeah, the original Stavic, yeah.
Yeah. And then she got replaced in part 3 and part 4 with Curtis was her last name. What was her first
I don't
name?
know.
I can't
I
remember.
remember who you're talking about. But
Well, if anybody heard any great news about the Superman movie,
I just saw this. Phil Robinson passed away.
I knew that was
well,
going to be fast.
yeah, he's been sick for a while.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be fast.
Because I understand they already put him in hospice care.
Yep. Well, that's sad too.
Yep.
He reminded me, the way he spoke and the way he looked and everything else. He reminded me of my brother Steve. I mean, I swear they were the same person.
To me, he reminded my great uncle Russell. He reminded me of.
Yeah, they sounded exactly alike. I mean, if Phil Robinson, or if Phil hadn't had the beard, or had my brother had, he had a beard off and on, but never that long. He sounded alike. It was always kind of freaky listening to Phil Robinson because he sounded so much like my brother Steve. But Steve died. Holy cow! Never mind.
I didn't know this till the other day that Haas from Bonanza.
Yeah. Dan Blocker. Dan Blocker.
Dan Blocker. Yeah, I couldn't think of his name. He passed away during the filming of the show.
Oh yeah, 71 or 72.
I don't ever remember that last season without him.
No, he died. Yeah, he was another one. He just had a heart attack and died.
Because I looked it up. I was at my mom's and dad's, and my dad was watching. It was called the Cockeyed Cowboys of Calcutta County.
Yeah,
and he was. I just caught the end of it. He went into the bar where the dancer, she was like the singer in the bar, the singer and dancer, and I guess they were going to get married. And they was sitting there yelling at each other, and he said, "You going to come out here and marry me right now?" And she said, "I'll come out there and marry you when I'm good and ready." And they kept on at one another, and she drawed fist, and he drawed back, and she said, "Oh, we'll fight it out." And then it shows her swing. And then it shows him come flying through the bar window out in the middle of the street. You know how big a guy he is. You know?
Oh, yeah.
He was boy, she clobbered him.
He was a big man.
But see, every time I watch something like that, I'll start looking it up and see, see if they're still alive or see when they passed away. And that's when I realized he passed away during the show.
Well, I hadn't realized that we've lost a lot of celebrity, quote, influential people in 2025 this year.
Yeah, it's been a rough year this year.
Yeah.
Like the guy that played Buford Pusher, Walking Tall, he died recently. ECW wrestler Sabu died.
No, yeah.
Which them guys, I was expecting them to check out in the early 50s anyway.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So they lived a rough life.
Wrestlers don't seem to live very long.
They don't. The lifestyle they live.
Yeah, well, he come from ECW, man, which was just rough enough as it was.
I mean, even though it's don't tell nobody this, but even though it's all staged and it's not real, they still go through a lot of rough.
Oh, boy.
What are you talking about, man? It's not fake.
Or if they don't,
I tell you,
their timing gets off, they can get seriously hurt.
I'll tell you what, they get beat around worse than the average football player.
Oh yeah.
They really do.
I tell you something. Even if it's staged, I seen a pay-per-view one time where Sabu got his arm ripped open by a piece of barbed wire on accident and duct taped his bicep back together under the ring.
Yeah.
And finished the match.
My great uncle was a wrestler, and I trained with him for a little while because he wanted me to be a professional wrestler when I was younger. I can tell you right now, right quick, I told him no. That was not something I was up for because it hurt too bad.
Yeah.
I've had a little bit of professional wrestling training. That man ain't forgiving, is it, Shane?
No, it's not.
Neither's in cables.
You got a big spring under there, but you got 3/4 inch plywood with a 1/4 inch mat on top of it, and then a leather canvas. It's not that soft.
Oh, no, it's a lot of. It's very athletic. It's very athletic.
I'm gonna tell you right now. The first ring I trained in had had elevator cables around it, wrapped in tape and rubber. After running the ropes for 30 minutes one day, I urinated blood for 4 days.
I can believe that.
Put it.
And I never went back.
That first body slam I took from my great uncle, I said, nope, nope, not for
It
me.
may be staged, but you can't stage gravity.
That's right. That's right.
But it is fake.
You just got to look at it like it is. It's a live stunt show.
Well, look, the outcomes are staged, and a lot of the. I mean, let's face it. Physically, if some of those moves were actually real as presented, they'd be fake.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show you how athletic those guys are, because it's a giant fake fight in front of a live audience, which that's hard to pull off and still be entertaining. You've got to give credit.
I think every staged in fight in Hollywood, and them boys don't get one take.
Yeah.
There's just as many females in there now as there is males.
Well,
Oh yeah.
Yep.
My girlfriend, she watches it. She loves Rhea Ripley.
I don't know who any of them are anymore. I pay attention a lot of time. I'd still like to meet Kane. Glenn Jacobs, when I watched I loved Kane. I would love to meet that man. I'd like to sit down and talk with him. What a strange perspective it must have been for him to be not to get weird, but a devout Christian playing basically a satanic character in that whole world of wrestling, right? I mean, it must have been such an interesting life. I mean, John Amos,
yeah, he's fast too.
But I met him about 5 years ago, and it ain't what you think of me. He's more like your grandpa than he is anything.
No,
there was a kid from here in our town. His birthday wish was to make a wish, and his wish was to meet Kane. And he was only supposed to go hang out with him for like 10 minutes in his office in Tennessee. But Kane turned it into a whole day thing.
Yeah.
He took him and his family out all over the place in Tennessee, showed them all around everything. They said he was a great guy.
I talked with him for 5 minutes, and you could tell he has a huge heart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Undertaker, Mark, what's his name? He said it. He said it repeatedly. He said it repeatedly that he is the nicest guy in any industry. He's just a fantastic person.
Yeah.
And I really would. I'd love to meet him someday.
Yeah.
I reckon he holds the WWE's world record for the longest career with the same wife.
Well, that's probably true.
He's still married to his high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
He went through all that.
Yeah, no doubt. Maybe someday. You never know. I mean, I live a lot closer to him than I ever did before, but that doesn't mean I'm going to meet him. So, if anybody knows him, call him up. I'll go have coffee with him. I met somebody once that said he knew him, but I don't.
You can find him pretty much every day at the Knox County Courthouse.
Well, yeah, I don't know as I'd go bother him at work or anything, but I don't know as I want to go to Knox County, Tennessee, tell you the truth. But,
yeah, for real.
I've still got a brother that lives up that way. I don't have any interest in going up there. But anyways, I probably shouldn't insult the man's home if I'm trying to
meet him, Dave.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, where you live really sucks. I don't want nothing to do with it.
Terrible, Dave. Terrible.
All right, what else we got? What are we hearing good about the Superman movie? I know another lawsuit was filed to try to stop its release.
Really?
The estate of the Schuster family is still at it. They filed suit earlier this year to stop it. Judge threw it out, called it absolutely ridiculous and groundless. Now they revised their filing and they are trying to stop its release in Europe, Canada, and Australia. They're just that. And I don't even understand, because it was 2 weeks ago they showed pictures of two of the grandsons on set. They gave them cameos in the movie. They were having a great time. Meanwhile, the lawyer is trying to sue the crap out of Warner Brothers. It's just so.
Yeah, that's weird.
Well,
that particular family has turned out to be a whole lot less victim and a whole lot more parasite then
Well,
you know,
isn't Superman fixing to be public domain? Because I know they're talking about Batman's fixing to be.
in 1938 and 39, respectively.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah, so
that's
that-
still 15 years away. Yeah,
Because
They
now
go
I
into the
reckon
public,
Warner
and that's
Brothers. Warner Brothers is
Nothing
trying
Warner
to
Brothers can do about
trying to stop it.
they can't.
No.
Just like Disney couldn't do it with Pooh Bear and Peter Pan and Cinderella and Snow White, and now Mickey Mouse is in public domain. That's why that outfit in Europe and England is making all these horror movies, because they went public domain. There's nothing they can do about it.
Wow, what's it got to be 100 years old to be able to?
Yeah, 100 years old. At
100
100 years
old, yeah.
old, no matter what, it goes into public domain. So,
Yep.
Who's 100 years old?
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
Oh,
100
Wizard
old?
of Oz has been in
Steamboat
public
Willie,
domain
yeah.
for years. What's
Yeah.
that?
Steamboat Willie, that's 100
Oh
years.
yeah, no, Mickey
Oh,
Mouse.
Mickey
is-
Mouse. Yeah, Mickey Mouse. That was
Yeah.
what, 1912 or something like that.
So it's going to happen with all of them sooner. Everybody makes a big deal about Batman and Superman, but Captain America, Wonder Woman, Namor, Green Lantern. There is a Shazam. There is a ton of characters in the next 20 years that go into the public domain.
Yep.
I'm
Most of
curious,
Marvel
what
stuff
about-
is still 40 years away, but still.
I'm curious. What about the Shadow?
Oh, I'm sure he's been.
Wasn't he? Because wasn't he Batman basically a ripoff of the Shadow?
No, Batman was. No, if you really look at the history of Batman, not really. I mean, Batman originally was all red. He looked like a devil.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't all noir,
He also didn't
as
have
they
that
put
mask.
it. And he did carry a gun, and he killed people. So it's not. You get into those who copied who discussions sometimes, and it wasn't the same back then. Those guys all had integrity. No one was trying to rip anybody else off.
Yeah.
I mean, they all knew each other. They were all working in the same offices half the time, even if they worked for a different magazine. So they Doc Savage was the other one. Yeah. I mean, that's like saying Sergeant Rock and Sergeant Fury ripped each other off. And well, who did the Unknown Soldier rip off? And you know what I'm saying? It was just like GI Combat, and the Shadow came out of the gangsta era, a lot of that stuff, and all that noir stuff did. So they weren't really ripping each other off as much as like what happens now. Since the 60s, let's face it, an awful lot of characters between DC and Marvel are absolute rip-offs of each other.
Oh yeah.
But it didn't happen. It really wasn't that way back in the 30s and the 40s.
They come out with a new character 3 weeks later. The other one's got the same character, just different name, different suit.
But Hollywood's done that too with movies. I mean, look at movies.
Oh yeah.
You get the same movies coming out. I mean, one studio.
You got
one out.
You got Slade Wilson, his cousin Wade Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same. My opinion on that is that creativity in the human imagination had a limit. It wasn't limitless like we were always told.
Oh, yeah.
There's just so many things. There's just so many stories you're going to tell. And they've all been told.
Mm-hmm.
To be perfectly honest with you, they've all been told. So
I heard the Superman movie's a train wreck.
I'm hearing the same thing. I know that Fantastic Four is in reshoot right now, less than 2 months from release, because that has turned into a giant disaster. The Doomsday movie from Marvel is now on hold. That production is suspended for unknown reasons.
Oh, you're talking about the Avengers?
Yep.
I
The
think it
Robert
got
Downey Jr. Doctor Doom movie,
Yeah,
that's on
last-
hold.
Last I heard, it got pushed back 6 months to Christmas of next year.
Yeah,
Well,
I read a thing today. Its production is suspended indefinitely right now. Disney is desperately trying to figure out what the heck they're going to do, because I think they are looking at Fantastic Four now as the next disastrous flop. And apparently so much of what's going on in Marvel is revolving around that movie that if it bombs, everything after that is in serious jeopardy. So,
well, I'm gonna tell you what's wrong with these movies. My girlfriend, she is not a comic book person, but she'll sit down and watch the movies with me. We sat down and watched Kraven the Hunter a few months ago. Well, she was up here night before last in where I got all my Marvel comic book villains. And she's like, is this the guy that they tried to base that movie on? I said, yeah. She said, well, now I know why it stinks.
I
I had
personally
Kraven the Hunter
enjoyed
in
that
there.
movie.
I did too. I actually liked it.
I thought that was a really good movie. It
So
was not.
she said,
It was not how Craven the original was. It's more of a beginning of Craven, and I think that's where a lot of people are messing up by thinking it's original movie. It's not. It's the beginning of Craven.
oh, to me, it was just too slow in the beginning. That picked up in the middle and it was all right. But
That's-
for her
mean,
being a casual movie fan and seeing that, she just can't see why they cast that guy as Craven.
Because he was a younger person. He was a younger kid.
That's what-
It showed when he
right,
first
that's what I'm trying
became
to tell you,
Craven.
yeah.
I mean, that was a whole thing
People-
about it.
People draw conclusions without watching the movie first, and then
Exactly.
it gets this bad rep before it even comes out. Look
See,
at
I
Madam Web. Everybody was complaining about Madam Web. Well, I think Madam Web, she's not blind, she's not old. But
Yeah.
the movie takes place back in the 80s, and by the
It
end of
was-
the movie, guess what? She becomes blind and she starts growing old.
It's basically an origin movie, is what it is.
Exactly.
This is going to sound terrible, but I think I don't appreciate the content of most of what Disney's putting out between Star
No, me
Wars and
neither.
Marvel. The problem is, I think you guys are hitting on something very important. At this point in time, social media, the reputation
Yep.
and the expectation is already so bad that a lot of this stuff is not getting a fair shake.
Right. Well, that's
Right.
just like the release of Lilo and Stitch, the live action movie. Before it even got on screen, people was dogging it
Oh yeah.
because of one little thing that it changed in the movie. But my cousin went and saw it yesterday, and he said it was great. He said it
I've
was
seen
so
the trailers
funny.
to that How to
So-
Train Your Dragon live action.
Yeah.
That looks freaking tastic.
Exactly.
Well, I'm glad Lilo and Stitch is great because Tiffany's a great nephew. We're gonna have to sit through that, so I hope it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And my cousin said it was good. He said there was some stuff changed in it, but it was still a good movie.
Well,
you
he's
do
through.
realize that some of that has to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, the transition from cartoon to live action is
Yes.
it can't all be
Well-
exactly the same.
Well, he's nearly 4. He don't like the cartoons, but he wants to go see the live action movie.
But like right here, Tim's got a good thing here. You know, for every bad rumor, you can hear good rumors. I've not seen the movie yet, but them changing the catchphrase has got me a little not wanting to see it.
They've changed the catchphrase.
The Superman
Oh,
movie?
Yeah, you just
Yeah,
need to
don't
look it
go
up. I'm not going to say nothing
Wow.
about
It's
it
there, and it's
because
real.
Wait,
It-
Which
it's
it
real.
is real.
Um,
Do what, John?
what catchphrase you talking about?
You know,
no,
I can't say it here, but you just need to look it up.
no,
I didn't realize Superman.
no.
had a
There is.
Oh,
there-
yeah,
no,
yeah.
it
Yeah,
comes
he got
from the
one.
movie. It comes from the movie. It's real.
Yep.
It was the dumbest marketing decision ever.
Yep.
To even to let not to put it in the movie, but to let people find out it was in the movie, because what did they actually think people were going to do with that information?
Exactly.
For me, I don't like James Gunn. I don't think he actually has any respect for the source material at all. So, well, Guardians was different because they were like D-level heroes and no one cared. He actually made them something. But you can't take that. You can't take the superhero. And let's face it, Superman is the superhero. You can't take him and treat him like Guardians of the Galaxy or some D-stringer of Suicide Squad character. That's not going to fly.
Here's how I take my superhero movies, and a lot of these people go into these things wanting to hate it. I'm wanting to love it. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm preparing for the worst.
You know what? I've come to the conclusion of, after having read comics for 50 years, I used to sit around and think how great it would be to have movies of a lot of this stuff, but I've really come to realize that most of everything that we actually loved about comics isn't really transferable into live action film. It's just not. It looks goofy, it looks stupid. It's almost impossible to make it real. You know what I'm saying? Comics are their own medium, and they're cool just for their own sake. To take it all and turn it into a movie is really asking a lot. I don't know. I don't know.
Like the first live action He-Man movie. That's the reason we got, what was it, Wendor or whatever instead of Orko? Because they couldn't pull it off.
Well, it's just some of it just doesn't translate well, you know.
So apparently Superman's got several catchphrases.
Yeah, the big one.
I only know the one.
The big one that's running the internet right now.
Is it one from the radio show from back in the day?
No.
Because it said they changed it back in 2021.
No, Truth, Justice, and the American Way was changed a long time ago. That's not what we're talking about. This is not. This is a slogan. This has to do with this movie specifically, not the character. This is something that the movie cooked up all on its own.
A slogan?
Yep.
I have no idea what y'all talking about.
It's a shame though. It's Superman SHIT.
Superhero in training?
No. Shane's shaking his head. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. It is actually a major part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they put this out there like it was going to outrage the audience or something, and the trolls took it and ran with it, and it blew up. That is what this movie is being called.
Yep.
And there's a reason for it, because it's in the movie. It's a pretty prominent part of the movie. And where that comes from is the most ridiculous rumor that actually turned out to be true of the whole thing. So, no, it's a marketing disaster already, because, I mean, basically half the country is already calling it SHIT, and it hasn't even been released, because that's what the movie calls itself.
I'm going to go on a limb, and after what I've seen so far, Ollie's is going to get a lot of Superman toys.
It's just, yeah. I don't know, man. I might watch it on demand. I plan on going and seeing How to Train Your Dragon in the theaters and Jurassic Park, because those are movies that need to be seen in the theater. I don't know if I'm going to spend the money on Superman. It's expensive to go to the movies. It's got to be something. You know, it's got to be something.
It's got to be worth it.
And that's where I'm at. So.
Well, if Marvel's smart, they'll stay. I mean, they're making with the Thunderbolts, they're getting back on track to where they were. They didn't have none of this political mess in it. It was just a good story, good guys fighting bad guys.
But that's what I was saying a minute ago. It doesn't matter because no one gave it a chance.
Yeah, and see, the critics give it 2 thumbs down.
Yeah, it bombed financially. It's an absolute disaster.
Well, if the critics give it two thumbs down, it's going to be an awesome movie.
Well, yeah, but no one thinks that way.
Exactly.
They don't think that way. Whatever some moron on the internet says is the gospel truth, and that's the end of it. No one actually thinks for themselves anymore. This whole idea of an influencer, I mean, look at the word itself. I mean, they're influencing people. They're not called informers. They're not called educators. They're called influencers. You know, it's just, you know, we're all here being influencers, aren't we? Timothy does everything we say. I mean,
yeah.
Well, I do everything you say too, because I'm afraid I might get pushed down in front of Target parking lot again.
Well, you know, just
say. So here this says Thunderbolts has grossed $331 million globally as of May the 23rd. Mm-hmm. It's a box office success, exceeding expectations for a Marvel movie, especially given the post-Avengers Endgame landscape.
That story makes no sense, because if they spend $400 million on advertising.
Exactly.
The film has also performed well domestically, earning $160 million in the first 20 days.
That's horrible.
See, I thought they said it was doing good. I don't know.
last story I read that said it was the second lowest performing Marvel movie of all, and that Universe of Madness, that Doctor Strange one, is the only one that did worse.
I thought Eternals was the worst
So
one.
I mean, they're still losing money.
You're talking about the political atmosphere. I
Multiverse
seen
of
a story
Madness?
this morning. Yeah, that was pretty good. I like the action movie. But I seen this morning talking about the political and all landscape and all this. Marvel's bringing back the original Punisher logo.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's supposed to be a limited run.
Yeah, but they already trashed the character, so what difference does it make if they bring back the logo? They destroyed that character. I mean, they just destroyed that character. So what difference does it make if his logo comes back, right? I mean,
Well, so I think it was Geeks and Gamers claims the reason they're doing that is trying to bring back the readers.
no, you know what? The readers are all our age or within that range. We're not stupid. You know, you burned us once. That was your shot. We're not coming back. You know what I mean? When they absolutely decimate a character the way they did to him, people, you know what? People give up, and they just get tired of giving the same old people, you know, good money after bad, as they used to say. It's just not going to do it anymore. You know, the whole thing needs a massive reboot, and what I mean by that is not necessarily the characters, but the publishers and their writers need a reboot. They all need to be fired. And people need to be brought in that actually love what they do and love the characters and are willing to go back to legacy instead of pushing an agenda or, you know, being artistes about everything, you know. That's my opinion. But we all know, I think we're all can say it's safe to say that's not going to happen. So anyways, hey, what else you want to do? You want to show that video, Shane?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do that. It's me, so forgive the whiteness. I can't get the stupid lens to switch, but I wanted to show you what we've been working on. 2 weeks today, 24/7, literally. We'll talk about it in a minute to keep the video short, but I want to show you what we got going on here. This is 3D printed, and it is a replica of the prototype 1981 G.I. Joe electric train. That's great. Footloose just hanging out. Another access to the same compartment. And of course the top comes off. Engine compartment. There are no trucks underneath here, but this here is actually a 2-inch LED flashlight that I've rigged up in there. I just haven't put a battery to it. Alpines in the turret. Ladders and stuff. This comes off. These doors open. Oddly enough, they open inward, but they do on both sides. There's a set of bunks that goes in there and stuff, which is cool. There's another little missile that goes in here. None of this is spring loaded, so but it's these are like big model kits, honestly, but they look very cool. And of course that closes. Take the figure out and that'll close. This is the big car. This cannon does not work, but it does have a large red projectile that'll be in it. Mainframe hanging out. If you're noticing some flaws in that gun, you're absolutely right. It's going to be replaced. It was what we would call definitely a failed print. Little dashboard in there. There's another missile rack that goes right here. This car right here is cool. It's got this Gatlin's type missile launcher. Give me just a second. It closes, so it's a tank car. I gotta put another pin in the back, but that's your tank car, completely closed. And when you fold this all down, it fits in there. Law and order and what we would call a caboose. Things like this, and in the front, there's gonna be lights in this thing. I'm not able to print the 3D windows, but these Forgive this pin, but I'm going to show you how this works. Now, oop, there we go. Pup fell down. It's a fold down gate in the back. And if you see inside there's a little compartment. Watch what this car does. It pivots like that, and there's a little. Well, it's like the armadillo, little unmanned tank that hasn't been printed yet. That will go in there. And you just close it back up, and just pivot your car back in place. So, I'll give you the story. I'll give you the story on the train here in a minute, but this is it. This is the unproduced 1991. It was shown as a prototype, never produced. There was one made in prototype form, and that was it. And this is the biggest gauge rail that they come in. So I will tell you this, motorizing this, so to speak, would not be cheap. But we're hoping to be able to sell these. Once I get everything done, we'll have a better idea of price. But I think what we'll do is, there's a turret that goes there too. These are kind of, they'll be sold raw, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Technical difficulties. Uh-oh. The video broke the system. It's so awesome.
Ooh.
Broke the system.
I was afraid shame I got kicked off.
Yeah, right. So that's what we've been doing, and I'm not kidding. It's as of one little pin that I printed, it was just shy of 253 print hours on this train, and it's still not done. There's a ton of smaller parts that still need to be done, and some of the bigger parts are going to get redone because I'm not happy with them, if that makes sense. But let's show you what the deal is. Here's the story with the train. Stephen Cope, the guy that I got the plans from, he worked for Hasbro. He designed the Dragonfly and the Rattler before the classified scale. He designed those for Hasbro before he and Hasbro parted ways. Stephen lives in California. He's a super nice guy. I'm trying to talk him into coming on the show. He has connections like you wouldn't believe. But anyways, what ended up happening is I'm going to be careful here. I'm not going to give any of the names because I'll mess it up. But this train was floated at Toy Fair in 1991, and a prototype was built to show at Toy Fair for 93, but we all know what happened. The end of the line was literally in 94. So it never went into production, but the prototype did exist. Okay. For whatever reason, Hasbro got powering through stuff here a couple of years ago, and found the prototype. And if you live and work in the circles that Stephen does, you hear of these things. They actually put the prototype up for auction. And what ended up happening is one of the big promoters for San Diego Comic-Con and one of the big names in Sunbow, Marvel animation back in the 80s, actually went in together and bought the prototype. And then they gave Stephen access to it. So that's where all of this came from. He took the measurements and has duplicated the prototype with a couple. There's a few alterations, but they're all for the better because the prototype was. If you look at this car here,
the behemoth.
Yeah, the biggest car. If you look at this was a hodgepodge of thunderclap parts that has been basically redone. But I mean, this is the largest car. But as you can see, and I'll tell you more about that in a second. The engine is kind of cool. Got a full. Let me see if I do this. Got a full dash.
Muskrat in there.
Yeah, Emmett was just stuffing figures in here. It's got a full dash. It's got an engine compartment. It's got this other compartment in the middle behind the seats. It's pretty cool.
There is one downside to this.
It's immense, and it takes forever to make.
No.
Oh, so there's two downsides?
Yes, the fact that it has pegs for the feet, but you can't stick the.
Yeah, and you know what? No one needs to talk about that because no one is putting those pegs in their figures' heels.
No one does.
Nope.
No, they're going to break. So that's the engine. There's, it's kind of cool. These will be lit. There'll be 3 lights in the front. Again,
Actually, you don't need 3 lights. You need 1 light.
there's this glass, the windshields and the side glass. I haven't been able to do because I don't have a resin printer, and trying to doing the translucent 3D printing and anything other than a resin printer is a colossal waste of time. The second car.
Not really, unless you like foggy plastic.
Yeah, well, I don't. No one does. This is really cool. Little turret. There's another missile that'll go in here. Again, this is a 2-inch LED flashlight that I've actually rigged up into this ball light.
Yellow turret, courtesy of me.
Shot
Courtesy of me.
spotlight. Let me pop this off. You can see what the inside of this looks like.
The yellow turret is mine.
There is a bunk that goes here, a set of bunk beds. Those just haven't been made yet. And this is basically going to end up like, I hate to say it, it's probably going to end up battery compartment, or I have to admit, guys, I know absolutely nothing about electric trains. I mean, like zero. So I'm not sure how the lights and all of that stuff are going to be powered. And there are apparently options with train engines, whether they're battery operated or powered through the track. I don't know which is the best option yet.
Powered through the track.
Well, this stuff,
As long as you can keep
you
the
say
track
that,
power.
but it gets expensive.
Yes, it does.
It does. And Stevens was nice enough to send me the trucks are basically like the wheel assemblies for the tracks. This thing needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. And they're $35 a piece. The engine is another story. That's going to be expensive. That one's going to be, I think he sent me one that was like $135. That's not, we're not buying any tracks or controllers yet. That's just to get this thing motorized. So,
I don't think we'd even sell tracks with this.
well,
You give them the measurements, they can buy.
you know what? This is one of those deals where the customer's always right. So if somebody wants a complete package, that's what they're going to get. But it would not be cheap. I have to be honest with you guys.
So what? We're gonna have a bunch of tracks behind the table.
If you're familiar with 3D printing at all, it's very cool, but it's grainy. Do you understand what I'm saying by that?
Mm-hmm.
This is not vacuum formed.
This is good.
This is not vacuum formed plastic. So
This is a good example.
these are. I would like to sell these rough, and then have. I'm gonna print them in color, right? But I would still strongly suggest scuffing these up, getting rid of some of the heavier lines and painting them. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Rid of some of the grainy texture, because these are not smooth like vacuum formed plastics. They're just not. But we're also making things here that are never going to get made otherwise, right? So there's a trade-off here. The tank car. Would you give me the tank car, please?
The tank or the tank?
I'll go back to that in a minute. This is the tank car that I showed you, all closed up. And it does open up clamshells, and it's got a computer console in there. This gun pops up. That's the Gatling gun that was in the video.
That looks
But
like
again,
the ones from the headquarters.
What's that?
The headquarters they did in '91.
Yes.
That looks like the same gun that comes with it.
Yep, and that's what ended up happening. He was copying the parts that were like a hodgepodge of parts that Hasbro was just throwing at this train. So just to give you an idea, this car here takes 2 trucks. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It
Yeah.
also takes a long time to print.
And yes, it takes a long time to print. This is the caboose car. That's an actual entry door. There is another turret and a gun that goes here.
Wait, let's see. I accidentally did that.
That's okay. But this is cool. I mean, the way this car pivots,
Yeah.
and you drop the ramp, and the little armadillo type tank comes out of
Is
it.
there like a wall for that or no?
No. And there will be, they just haven't been printed yet. There's at least one computer console that goes in here, plus the glass windows here and here. What are you doing?
I'm trying to see the door if you can go through the door.
Where'd the handrail go?
He
That's
can
a
go
gimme.
through the door.
Yep, goes right through the door, just like he did when we were kids, right? Now,
I don't know where the handrail is. I'm gonna go look.
I'm going to be, would you find it, please? I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. I'm not going to discuss price. See, this is, and you guys that know me, know I am absolutely horrible with money. I really am. I don't like talking about money. I don't like asking about money.
You don't like money about money?
I don't like money. I really don't. I find prices for most everything absolutely ridiculous. But then when I look at this thing and realize that as it stands right now, I've been killing myself to get this thing done. And
Speaking of ridiculous prices, McFarlane picked.
See,
Yeah.
we knew you didn't like money, Dave, because you're a toy collector. None of us like
yeah,
money.
exactly.
Or we
Yeah,
collect
exactly.
toys.
I put a lot more value in things than I do money. See, there's a picture of the original. That's the prototype, and it was a true hodgepodge of parts
Oh, yeah.
that was in it.
Oh yeah, the
Um,
little car there. That looks like the thing that comes with the Rolling Thunder.
Yes,
Oh.
The little.
I think that's the part that they used. The one that's in the one that was actually made is a little different than that, but I would use the one from the Rolling Thunder. Honestly, you can see that there's another turret back there that needs to be done. This big gun has a huge red bomb projectile that goes in it that I tried to print this afternoon, but it didn't work out right. I want you to. Can you give me the screen again, Shane?
Did my printer not like it?
You can see it there, but this is the cool thing about this. This right here is actually a standalone tank.
Oh, wow.
That has 18 bogey wheels on it and a track that we are going to print in rubber. So it will have a rubber track.
Actually, TPU.
Yeah, it's rubber. They don't know what TPU is. I don't know what TPU is. Who cares what it is? Freaking rubber.
It's flexible plastic.
Yeah, it's rubber. Anyways,
Rubber.
rubber. Anyways,
You call this rubber because it's like this.
if it looks like rubber, smells like rubber, it's rubber.
You know, I hate to go with Emmett, but I'm going Emmett on that one.
I don't care, Corey. I don't.
Nobody cares.
Speaking
Um,
of money.
Yeah, stop with the money stuff.
Yeah.
So that's
I'm gonna
the
go with
that is
good
the
night, Emmett.
unproduced string. That's the unproduced string. You know what, guys? Again, I hate to do this. As it stands right now, in the raw, we're going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $400. And that's not with trucks or an engine or anything else. That I would leave up to whoever, right? You can go source that
Okay.
stuff off eBay.
Oh,
Um,
well, I was
and I know
doing
for
it
a
in my
lot of
head.
people, that's a lot of money. There's no doubt in my mind that it is. But I can tell you right now, you wouldn't buy one anyplace from any of the other guys that actually have these plans. They wouldn't be selling them for no $400.
No.
I would like to be able to. This is going to sound strange, but as it stands right now, I've got about $2,000 sunk into this between machines and filament and everything else. If at some point in time I could get my money back relatively quickly, I'd be pretty happy. But I'm not one of these guys that's going to try to make it all back at once either.
Exactly.
Right. I want to be fair. I want people to have these and enjoy them and build them and finish them. I have the plans, and I can produce the raw shells. You know what I'm saying?
Shoot, we lost Shane.
But I would strongly suggest finishing them themselves. We're gonna have things at Gadsden for you to see, this included. So that will be good.
Can we do the teaser?
Well, I want to wait until Shane's back because Shane apparently.
Yeah, we're having some intermittent weather. My building's got a generator, but we don't have no power at all in Russell.
No, okay, it's rough right here right now too. So
he lives about 15 minutes away from me.
Yeah.
What?
Shane looks like he's studying on something real serious.
He is. Oh, he just disappeared.
Oh, no.
Well, we're waiting on him to get back. I was doing the rough estimate in my head for your train. Now I added trucks and engines. I had it at $800.
I think, to be fair, just so that no one gets blindsided. By the time you bought these from me, you finished them yourself. You get them painted up. You get your trucks. You get your engine. You get your track. You get your controller and everything else. You're probably going to be in the $800 range. That's what I'm looking at. Yeah, I can tell you this much: if these had been produced in 1993 by Hasbro, I guarantee you'd be paying a whole lot more than that for one in working condition now.
That's me going with the cheap engine and the cheaper trucks too.
Yes, right. So that's it. I mean, these are for collectors. These are for guys that I have to have that because it's just freaking cool. And let's face it, it is really cool. We have a ton of other stuff that we're going to be doing. It's just, when I say I'd like to be able to get my money back from the machines that I've already bought, I'd really like to have the money to buy more machines so I could produce these quicker so that more people could actually have them and enjoy them. Because I have to tell you, running one machine 24/7 for the last 2 weeks, sitting here going through files and managing the time, you know what I'm saying? This one will run overnight and I will be able to get the next one started before I go to work. And then, you know what I'm saying? Juggling the time and looking at the hours. And I at this point, I'm not a professional at this. I'm going to say we're at about 20% failed prints. You understand what I'm saying by this? I mean, there are issues that are severe enough with a lot of these prints that they're a complete loss.
Wonky shaping
and that,
stuff like that.
When these parts, this cannon on this thing, that is 22 hours to print that. And it came out messed up, which is just infuriating because now I have to spend another 22 hours printing one.
Now, I have been accused of being a modifier, but I consider myself a tinkerer. As far as the rough stuff, that's not a problem. Me, when I start painting like a vehicle, I always take a real fine sandpaper and hit it to get the paint to stick anyway. So that should not be an issue for anybody.
It shouldn't be. Some people are going to want them just finished. And you know what? If one of you guys wants a side job that wants to finish these suckers, there's another few $100s in it for you. But I would prefer it to be rough like that. I can't make them and finish them. I don't have that time. I don't have that energy.
To be honest, he can barely make them.
Well, that's the truth. It's very difficult. I have to be honest with you guys. those of you that know me, my physicality is always in question. This is something that I could end up in a lot more physical trouble than I'm in right now and still be able to do this. Do you see what I'm saying? I could still contribute to the household and still be active in the collective world and actually make people happy, which is cool. It's not hard physical labor. It's just that's true. It's very difficult.
Yeah, we're getting hammered down here too, Shane.
Okay. Honest with you guys, well, that's a lag. Those of you that know me, my physicality is always in question. Listen to my song. This is something that I can end up in a lot more physical trouble than I'm in right now, and still be able to do this. What you see what I'm saying? I can still contribute to the household and still be active in the collective world.
Shane, put his earplugs in. You don't hear it no more.
It's not he's that far behind us.
Yeah, it's about 5 to 10.
False power. Sorry.
No, you're all good.
Yeah.
Okay, so look, you're getting a teaser. You're getting a teaser for the next
item.
The next thing you're going to see in 2 weeks. Okay. Now you have to be on the show to see it because I'm not doing a separate page. The show is where you're going to see this stuff. All right.
Also, is this one going to be for sale?
Well, eventually, yeah. Are you ready? Are you ready for the teaser?
Hang on, wait.
Are you ready?
Power don't go out again.
It's going to be quick.
And go.
You ready?
Oh my gosh, I know what it is. I know what it is.
Army hearties, we be going hunting us alike.
I know what it is.
He sounds like one of my teachers right now. He collects Star Wars.
Yeah,
Army hearties, see me out there. Me white wear.
So, that's hopefully what you're going to see in 2 weeks in a much more complete form. This is very difficult, I have to tell you. After spending 2 weeks on this train and it's still not being done, I had to stop yesterday and print that just to give. I gotta look at something different, right?
Yeah, you're most definitely got to invest in more printers if you're going to do a lot of this.
We were talking about that before. Ideally, there'd be 4 printers running.
Easily.
Yeah, there'd be 4 printers running.
Easily.
Yes, classified scale. Yes. Everything other than the train, Timothy, everything other than the train and, oh, well, you know what? I'll spill the beans. Everything but the train is 1/18. I will not do this in classified scale. That you couldn't put an engine on it. There's no point. There's no point because you'd never be able to power it.
No.
You couldn't print it in classified scale.
I can too.
Are you crazy?
Pretty much. I'm beginning to.
He is crazy. Do you know who he is?
There are the Terradrome. The Terradrome comes in 2 versions. Well, 3 technically. That we can do in classified scale. Or the one that's modified with the catwalks and the ladders and the landing pads for trouble bubbles and all of that stuff. That one is 1/18. The only other thing that we have that will be, yeah, exactly. The only other thing that will be in 1/18 scale is, you guys remember that Super 7 offered the Cobra mothership as the crowdfunding thing?
Mm-hmm.
I have those plans.
Ooh.
Dave, don't say never on a 1/12 scale train. You can power it. Just takes money.
You're gonna do us an airship with classified scale?
Yeah.
That thing would be 25 foot long.
I actually could. I
How
wouldn't
cool
want
would it
to.
be?
I have to tell you, the Terradrome is insane in classified scale. I'm going to guess if you want one, I will definitely print one.
But you better be ready to pay.
But you better be ready to wait too, because I guarantee you, it would be a 5-week print,
if not more.
if not more.
I want a 3D printed window viper.
Window Viper?
Is the Terradrome with the like the flight pod pads and all that? Is it compatible with the regular Terradrome?
Yes.
In other words, could you get like the shell of a Terradrome and just print the parts to go on it?
Yes, my understanding of it, and I still haven't had a chance to actually sit down and look at these. But yeah, let's say you had your black base and the top crown, the blue pieces that go around the top with the two turrets. The modified Terradrome has 4 turrets, not just 2. And it has the catwalks that go around the top white ring that have the landing pads for trouble bubbles.
Trouble bubbles.
The ladders go up into the gun turrets, and then there's ladders on the inside that go up into the gun turrets. The only thing with the Terradrome is, you could probably do it yourself if you got the chain and everything else. It's not automated. It doesn't have the lever for raising the fire bat up and down, but it's got the clamshell dome. It's got the fire bat in both scales. Wow. I know. It's really amazing. The computers are modernized. The seating is much better. The seats for the turrets and the computers and everything else are much improved. As my understanding of it is I could print a kit to modify an original Terradrome shell. I just haven't gotten to sit and look through them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, technically, you can look through them.
We were gonna do the cookout here 3 weeks ago, and it was my intention is to sit down with a bunch of you guys and actually go through these plans and go yay and nay. What is this? What is that? Because that didn't pan out, but we'll get to it.
Well, Dave, I got a gut feeling the way that John's looking. I think he may have a shell out in the garage somewhere.
Or 2 or 3.
We've got one table. We've got one small table at Gadsden. I'm going to have as much stuff as I can produce in this short period of time.
You could print diorama stuff and make a killing. Fire hydrant, soda machine.
Remember that rooftop that Adam was asking for?
All that stuff.
I found files for it.
I have to be honest with you.
Firearms, like real firearms.
The guns. I have to tell you, Corey. The guns from what I've seen.
My printer is not.
You need a resin printer to do those, or they just don't look right.
Yeah.
And the problem with resin printers is, number one, the printers aren't expensive. The resin is expensive.
The resin, yeah.
And it stinks to high heavens. You really to have them, even with our attached garage. I'm not sure a resin printer is going to work out real well.
You'd have to have a pretty good sized vent fan for that.
Yeah, because I guess they are really bad with fumes.
What about 3D printing somebody's head, like taking scans? Have you ever thought about getting into that?
I did a head.
No.
He might be able to 3D print you a scan of Emily's feet.
Oh,
no, that's okay.
Don't do that, John.
Keep them on your couch.
One of those 3D scanners. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, you can keep them on your couch.
I was actually thinking about getting 3D printed us 4 knuckleheads and me doing some custom bodies and making us some Alabama toy merch figures.
I tell you what, man, if I knew somebody that actually had the talent to paint figure faces,
why don't you just order one from the Hasbro Pulse site? Files
for almost anything are available, and I don't know anything about the software, but you could buy those $25 laser scanners off of Amazon, and you can scan anything into the software and print it.
Well, Emmett, I'll tell you why you don't need to do that, because the stuff off Hasbro's Pulse half the time don't come out right. And it's the stuff they make it in it's very easily you can break. And they actually tell you that in the warning before you order one.
Well, yeah, because I suspect those were 3D printed.
They are. Yeah. You can
And,
tell.
and they're not even done. Yeah.
Plastic is quite a bit different.
And Hasbro don't even do it. They outsource it.
Yes, exactly.
Shane, can you put it to big screen?
For what?
Well, I showed the gun.
Okay.
So that's what happens when I print guns. They warp on the bottom, and they don't usually come out good.
Yeah, it's too small.
I'll show you one of my worst failed ones.
You know what I took from that? When'd you find a cowboy Batman I've been looking for?
He just found it yesterday at Walmart, actually.
Oh, really? Cool.
Mhm.
I need to get out and look for that.
I'm also
Yeah, they're up.
customizing this one because I'm using his body. He has a really nice.
Yeah, he's making a custom out of that. Oh, by the way, the platinum Hot Girls are showing up at GameStops days before
Yes.
they go up for pre-order.
Yeah.
So if any of you go anywhere near a GameStop and if you see one of those platinum Hot Girls, I want that bad.
And I have seen them there, and they're $10 higher than what they're supposed to be too.
I don't care. It's
Gotcha.
that platinum Wonder Woman is $150 higher than she's supposed to be. So here we go
Exactly.
again.
That's true.
Yeah. So thanks for that time, gentlemen. This is really cool stuff. I'm anxious for you guys to actually see it in person. It's really cool. It's really cool.
Also, my printer can handle action figure heads.
A lot of that stuff I would recommend using a resin printer for.
I'm kind of more like what Shane was talking about, just like pieces for Dollaramas, like traffic cones, stop signs, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean,
you can make money with that stuff.
you can. Yeah, you can. That is the truth. His machine is much better suited.
Window frames, door
Window
frames,
right?
all that stuff for dioramas. I mean, people would pay for that stuff.
Oh, shit. Lip.
I know Adam wanted water towers and fire escapes, and I have to tell you, he started on some of that, and
It'd be hard.
oh,
I don't know. I'd recommend ordering a shelf from Amazon.
that's the
That's
hard
the thing, though. You can't get hardly any of that stuff on eBay or Amazon.
No,
You can't. If you can get to where you can print that stuff, you can make a killing because there's hardly any of that stuff on there.
Say, like John's got that fire escape. I've looked I think he said he got it from Hobby Lobby. I've looked everywhere, even Amazon. They got them sold out.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, because we've seen them. I just didn't realize they were sold out.
The prototype fire escape I made, it just did not look correct size.
It didn't look good with 6-inch figures.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it just didn't. It was really narrow. It was really narrow.
Something was up with it.
Yeah, something was up with it.
Train.
That's cool. It's really cool.
No,
Oh, the crazy train.
Can't hear you, John.
I was asking him at what Batman that was he had the hat on.
Cowboy Batman.
Cowboy
That's
Batman.
the new one. That's the new one that just literally he got it. He found it yesterday.
What kind of gun? What gun did it come with?
None.
He didn't come with a gun. I printed him a Ranger Sequoia.
What? Then the Cowboy Batman didn't give him a pistol or anything?
No.
He didn't have a pistol in the comic book.
No.
He had batarangs.
Oh,
I thought he fit with a pistol.
No. I mean, it's actually not a bad figure. I've got one on order.
I'm turning it into a TV show ghoul figure.
Yeah, he wants it for the Fallout Ghoul stuff.
I like to have one just to make a cowboy out of him.
It's actually not a bad figure. And this duster is vinyl. It's not cloth.
Yeah.
It's vinyl, which is actually kind of
cool.
cool.
Oh, cool. I know they were talking about McFarlane not putting firearms in there with them anymore.
No.
Actually, Gordon had a firearm.
But they put one out here about 6 months ago because I got firearms.
Yeah.
She's got two of them.
Dude, you got firearm. Look at the firearm.
Well, the new Batman that's got the holster right here.
I got some
He comes
got firearms too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he comes with gun.
year two Batman.
Yeah,
So
he
maybe
comes with a gun.
In that
I
Yeah,
think
they
they
got him
pick
on
and choose
Walmart.
on that stuff.
What's that?
I think they just pick and choose
Well,
There was,
on
if
that
they
and
put
rule.
if they put adult collector on the box, they can
Yeah.
put firearms in them.
Exactly.
If they don't,
And
they
that-
can't.
in that story run that Batman came from, he didn't have a gun anyway
No.
Hmm.
because he refused to use it. He used battle rays.
And he came with batarang.
Maybe we'll get the Superman to go with it. Hopefully, I don't know.
Supposed to be getting it.
Andy Taylor Batman.
Yeah.
I never guess what that is.
It's the other side to the vehicle.
Phone.
Everyone can see that.
No, they can't. You can't
What
see
is
that
it?
at all.
Right.
It's blurry.
You're like a blue
this
dot.
is
Blue
cool. I
dot
can-
on a phone.
I can monitor my prints on my phone from work or wherever else I am. It tells me progress, temperatures, all of it. I can do it.
Tell them
pretty
it's
cool.
messing up.
It is actually, and it's told me a few times that it was paused or ran out of filament or
Swapping
whatever.
filament.
so. Yeah,
You talking about that hot girl showing up at GameStop in limited run Cyborg Superman is too.
I need him bad too. That's going to be another
Let me
one.
tell you.
Hmm.
That cat's adorable.
But he's gonna be a general release everywhere. But for some reason it's a deal with GameStop. They got a limited run first.
Yep.
And I want the Target version of Cyborg Superman. He's black and red.
The Red Lantern. Yeah,
Quick plug, real quick.
yeah, do it.
The
T-shirt.
shirts are for sale. Last day is Tuesday, 27th.
Let's do this
If
Tuesday.
anybody's watching and ain't got one,
We're
go to
gonna
the
do a
page.
plug.
Go
And
to
I'm
the
gonna
page
ask you a
and go to the
question.
feature section.
I'm gonna ask you a question. A lot of people's asked me about the shirt. Is it the exact same shirt you got on?
It's the exact same shirt I got on.
That's what I thought. That's what I told everybody who've been talking to me.
Same
I
color.
think it's the exact same shirt.
Same. Why don't they ask me that? I mean,
Because
why ask
you
me
might
for
push them down at Target.
it? I mean, it's just-
Well, that's dumb. That's dumb. So you know why he pushed you down at Target.
Yeah, because it's mean. He was on that mud pie he found for $1.99.
wait till the next trip.
Push me down at Target.
That'll be next fall.
Yeah.
When he pushes you down, it will be the
That's
next fall.
Both people ask for it.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, smartest most people around. They're smart enough to ask because they know they don't be pushed down with shame.
Who was that? Emily and my little pony.
I bleed for my people, man.
Yeah.
The B-Mac.
B Mac. You tell Emily I'll get her one for free.
Whatever happened to B-Mac?
I think he.
I think they canned him.
I think he went to work at someplace else.
Died from diabetes.
I think he's at Cumberland Farms there, downtown Newport, Connecticut, or something.
Died from diabetes.
Stocking toys at Target.
He's pushing Slurpees and Slim Jims at this Cumberland Farms down there.
Big Mac.
He's that scalper you're talking to on eBay.
For those of you that don't know, Cumberland Farms is like the Circle K of New England. There's one on every corner.
Oh yeah.
Well, gentlemen,
How comes they don't have them here?
they're wise. That's why.
Well, because there's these big yellow seeds that floats around down here, and they kill them out, and when they bloom, they produce Dollar Generals.
And that is the truth. There isn't room
Ain't
for
no
a Cumberland Farms down here. Put a Cumberland Farms inside the Dollar General. That's inside the Dollar General.
That's what my dad said. He said that's what
It's in the
them
parking
bags
lot
are
of the
blowing.
Dollar.
They're seeds and bags, and they just plant and get rooted, and the next
It's
Dollar
such-
General
that's-
grows.
Man,
I mean, we have a Dollar General down the road. I'm pretty sure that way. They're taking it down to build a Dollar General down the street.
yep.
Son,
Yep.
we got $3 Dollar Generals just inside the city limits of Russellville.
And there's a Dollar
And
General
And one a mile outside the city
down
limits.
there, down there.
Yeah,
Right.
there's literally there's like 3 of them within 2 miles here.
Oh, that's how it is.
I figured it. I figured it up. We got 9 in the entire Franklin County.
It's just crazy.
I think there's probably more than that.
We probably have 200.
Well, gentlemen, let's hang it up for this 2 weeks.
Do you You ought to be there for the terrain pace.
Probably, maybe.
Stuff nasty.
Maybe. There'll be some more pre-orders that come through in the next 2 weeks.
Maybe so. Yo-Yo June's just right around the corner.
Oh boy, and I'm
Oh,
really curious. I'm really curious what that's going to look like at this point.
Yeah.
well, we're getting the retro cars, and I've heard some places are heavy duty is showing up now in states.
I suspect that Hasbro hasn't done anything with pricing is because they are desperate to get everything stateside and through customs before that. Whatever it is, 75 days is left, 80 days are left, or whatever it is on that 90-day moratorium. And I don't believe that anybody actually trusts that 90 days at this point either, because Chinese are being very belligerent about it. So
I'm probably not going to mow the lawn tomorrow. It's all wet.
I'm not talking about that right now.
But we should.
Just for the record,
Get out, Emmett.
as of early 2025, there's $975 generals just in Alabama.
970.
I just done it in my head. There's nine in Franklin County. Same as one out in New Spring.
975 just in Alabama.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
So for those of you that have the day off tomorrow, just keep in mind what it's all about.
Yep.
Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks with new product, new adventures, new subject matter.
And new bad jokes.
A mowed lawn.
I might even have a new hairdo by then. You never know.
A mowed lawn. Actually, twice.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Get out.